Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. Part 8.10. Al-Anfal, the Spoils of War. Beloved seekers of divine wisdom. Our journey through the magnificent verses of Surah Al-Anfal has led us through the dramatic narrative of the Battle of Badr. We have contemplated the strategic landscape, divine intervention, and the clear distinction between falsehood and truth. We will now begin this discourse by applying our new two-section format, ensuring an unprecedented depth of analysis and a rich, immersive narrative for each part. This script is a new beginning, a deliberate and a deeply focused exploration of a single verse, a verse that unveils the spiritual and immoral chasm that separated the believers from those who, though in their midst, were afflicted with a spiritual disease. We will take our time to unfold the secrets of this verse, word by word, as it speaks to an everlasting truth that is as relevant today as it was in the past. Section 1. The spiritual disease and divine justice. The glorious Quran states, Kanzul Iman, Quran. Al-Anfal saw the spoils of war. 849. When the hypocrites and those with a disease in their hearts were saying, "These people are deceived by their religion, but whoever relies upon Allah, then indeed Allah is mighty and wise." This single verse, cherished listeners, is a universe of meaning. It is a mirror that reflects the two opposing spiritual states in human existence: the soul that is in a state of grace and the soul that is in a state of spiritual negligence. The verse begins with a clear and an unsettling statement. When the hypocrites and those with a disease in their hearts were saying, the Arabic term used here, marid fi kulubihim, is a powerful and a poignant one. A marid is a physical illness, but when it is used to describe the heart, it is a spiritual disease, an ailment of the soul. It is not an ailment of the physical heart, but an ailment of the spiritual heart, the kalb, the seat of all consciousness and of all perception. To understand the weight of these words, we must transport ourselves back to the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in Medina. The community was not a monolith, it was a complex and a diverse society. Within its fabric were the disbelievers who outwardly rejected the Prophet's message, but there were also those who had, in a state of confusion, embraced Islam outwardly, while their hearts remained in a state of doubt and skepticism. These were the ones with a disease in their hearts. What was the symptom of this spiritual disease? The Quran tells us. These people are deceived by their religion. Imagine the scene. The small and the vulnerable Muslim army is preparing to march out to face a far superior and a more powerful force. The hypocrites and those with the disease in their hearts were watching from the sidelines. They were whispering to one another, their words filled with skepticism and a mockery. They saw a group of men who were leaving their homes and their families, their meager resources, and their limited numbers to face an army that was 3 times their size. To their worldly minds, this was not a sign of courage, but a sign of foolishness. They saw a group of people who were so committed to their religion that they were willing to walk to their own destruction. They were in a state of spiritual blindness, unable to comprehend the divine reality that was at work. Their perspective was one that was rooted in the material world alone. They believed that victory was a matter of numbers, of weapons, of worldly strategy. They saw the believers' unwavering faith as a form of delusion, a naive belief in something that had no basis in a physical reality. They were judging the believers based on their own limited and a materialistic worldview. They were unable to see the divine power that was at work, the power that was going to change the course of history forever. They were so engrossed in their worldly calculations that they were unable to see the spiritual reality that was right in front of them. Their hearts were so diseased that they were unable to see the light that was emanating from the hearts of the believers. They were unable to see the truth that was right in front of them, for their hearts were in a state of spiritual negligence. The verse, however, does not end there. It provides a beautiful and a powerful contrast, a remedy to the disease of the heart. It states, "But whoever relies upon Allah, then indeed Allah is mighty and wise." This is a profound and a timeless statement on the nature of tawakkul, complete and a total reliance on Allah. The believers were not marching to their destruction, were marching to their salvation. Their reliance on Allah was not a sign of their delusion. It was a sign of their unwavering faith. They knew that their victory was not in their numbers or their weapons, but in their complete and a total reliance on their Creator. They knew that Allah is the ultimate source of all power, and He is the one who orchestrates all events with a perfect and a divine wisdom. Tawakkul is not a passive resignation or a reckless disregard for worldly means. It is a dynamic and a conscious act of the heart. It is a state of being where a person takes all the necessary means that are within their power and then, with a complete and a total trust, leaves the outcome to Allah. The believers had prepared for the battle. They had taken all the necessary measures that were within their power. But their hearts were not reliant on their limited resources. Their hearts were in a state of complete and a total reliance on their Creator. They knew that their strength was not in their numbers, but in their complete and a total reliance on Allah. This was the source of their courage, their resilience, and their unwavering steadfastness. The verse concludes with a powerful and a final statement. Then indeed, Allah is mighty and wise. This is a direct and a humbling reminder that our reliance is on an entity that is not just powerful, but also wise. The name Al-Aziz, the Mighty, signifies Allah's complete and a total power and a strength. It is a name that tells us that nothing is beyond His control. The name Al-Hakim, the Wise, signifies Allah's perfect and a flawless judgment. It is a name that tells us that all of His actions are based on a perfect and a divine wisdom. When we rely on Allah, we are relying on an entity of limitless power and perfect judgment. We are not relying on a blind and a deaf power, but on a power that is filled with wisdom and a mercy. We are not relying on our own limited knowledge, but on a knowledge that is beyond all comprehension. This was the source of their inner peace, their inner strength, and their unwavering steadfastness. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught about the importance of divine support. It is narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith number 6407 that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "There will come a day when a group of my followers will fight for the truth and will be victorious. They will not be harmed by those who oppose them." This saying beautifully illustrates the concept of divine support. A person who is a source of divine support is able to remind others of Allah. Section 2. The divine consequence and the lessons of history, the glorious Quran states, Kanzul Iman Quran, Al-Anfal, the spoils of war. 850. And if you could but see when the angels take the souls of those who disbelieve, they strike their faces and their backs and say, "Taste the punishment of the burning fire." This verse, dear listeners, is a chilling and a sober depiction of the moment of death for the disbelievers. The Quran begins with a command to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and if you could but see. This was not a physical vision, but a spiritual unveiling of the unseen. It was a glimpse into the reality that awaits those who choose to defy the truth. The verse then paints a vivid and a terrifying picture. When the angels take the souls of those who disbelieve, the angels in their majestic and a terrifying form are not just taking the souls of the disbelievers, they are also a source of divine retribution. The verse continues with a powerful and a terrifying description. They strike their faces and their backs. This was a clear and a beautiful statement on the ultimate consequences of their actions. The disbelievers, who had shown so much arrogance and so much pride in this world, are now being humbled in the most humiliating of ways. They are being struck on their faces, a sign of their utter humiliation, and on their backs a sign of their ultimate defeat. The angels then deliver a final and a terrifying message, and say, "Taste the punishment of the burning fire." This was a clear and a final statement on the ultimate consequences of their actions. This verse serves as a timeless and a powerful reminder of the ultimate and a final reality that awaits those who choose to defy the truth. It reminds us that our worldly pleasures and our worldly power are of no consequence. When we have a complete and a total reliance on our Creator, it reminds us that our ultimate purpose is to live a life that is in a constant state of a conscious awareness of Allah's presence in our hearts, our homes, and our community. This verse is a direct and a powerful reminder that our actions in this world are not without consequence. The spiritual state of a person's heart, whether it is filled with faith or with a spiritual disease, has a direct impact on their ultimate fate. The angels, in their role as a divine instrument of justice, are a clear and a beautiful sign of Allah's ultimate sovereignty. Kanzul Iman, Quran, ELNFAL, the spoils of war, 851. That is for what your hands have put forth, and because Allah is not ever unjust to his servants. This verse, beloved seekers, is a powerful and a concluding statement on the absolute justice of Allah. The Quran states, that is for what your hands have put forth. This is a clear and a beautiful statement on the nature of divine justice. The punishment that the disbelievers are facing is not an arbitrary act of a vengeful God. It is a direct and a logical consequence of their own actions. They had chosen to defy the truth, to show arrogance and pride, and to reject the message of the Prophet, peace be upon him. They had chosen to live a life that was in a state of spiritual negligence, and now they were facing the consequences of their choices. The verse then adds a crucial and a final statement. And because Allah is not ever unjust to his servants, this is a direct and a powerful statement on the nature of divine justice. Allah is the ultimate source of all justice, and he is the one who orchestrates all events with a perfect and a divine wisdom. He is not unjust to his servants. He is the one who provides them with the guidance and the mercy that they need. This was a clear and a beautiful statement on the true nature of leadership and guardianship. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught about the importance of divine justice. It is narrated in Sahih Muslim Hadith number 2577a that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "O my servants, I have forbidden injustice for myself and made it forbidden amongst you. So do not commit injustice to one another." This saying beautifully illustrates the concept of divine justice. A person who is a source of divine justice is able to remind others of Allah. Beloved listeners, the narrative of this part of Surah Al-Anfal is a timeless and a universal lesson for every human being. It reminds us that our spiritual journey is a journey of living a life that is in a constant state of a conscious awareness of Allah's presence in our hearts, our homes, and our community. It teaches us that our ultimate salvation is in living a life that is in a constant state of obedience, integrity, and a complete reliance upon our Creator. It is in this that we find our ultimate peace and our ultimate success. O Allah, who is the most compassionate and the most merciful, we ask you to make us among those who have a criterion for judgment, and to purify our hearts from the spiritual diseases of spiritual arrogance and of spiritual deafness. We ask you to make us among those who seek your forgiveness, and to protect us from your punishment. We ask you to grant us the strength to live a life that is in a constant state of obedience to you and your messenger. O Allah, make us of those who are among the successful in this world and the hereafter. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine knowledge. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth, and may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim.